This is the first in a series of videos on vector space classification. In this series, we will be talking about what vector space is, Rocchio classification, k-nearest neighbor, and linear classifiers. First, we need to talk about the vector space model. In the vector space model, we represent our collection of documents as a set of vectors in a common space. In this model, the vector of a document has one component for each dictionary term. These documents all share a single common space. For this video, and the rest of the videos in this series, we're going to be representing the vector space as, well, space. These shapes represent the documents. There are two classes, orange and green. Every term is an axis in the vector space. This means that the vector space is very multidimensional. Often the vector space will have hundreds and hundreds of dimensions. That being said, we are representing a multidimensional space as a 2- or 3-dimensional image, so there will be some distortion. Two-dimensional representations of vector space are made by taking projections from a hypersphere. Think about it like making a map of the Earth. When making a 2-dimensional projection of a 3-dimensional sphere, there is some distortion. When there is a large area being projected, there is a lot of distortion. So we need to keep that in mind. Vector space classification relies on the contiguity hypothesis. This hypothesis has two main points. First, that elements of the same class are in the same region. Here, we have two classes and two distinct regions. The second part of the contiguity hypothesis states that these regions do not overlap. So, let's take a look at some training data. In this image, every planet represents a document. These are our training set. They are already labeled with their classes. All of you do know what groups you belong to, right? The training data are all neatly separated into regions. But what happens when we add test data, a new document that isn't labeled already? How do we know what group it belongs in? We need to have a method of determining what documents belong in what classes. We draw separators to distinguish between one class and another. We use these separators to determine what class a given document belongs in. For example, that document, it belongs in class 2. But how do we go about drawing these separators? It's very easy in this example. The boundaries are very clear and can be marked visually. But what about a space with hundreds of dimensions and thousands of documents? There are many methods, such as using central points, which is what's used in Rocchio classification, polling neighbors, which is used in k-nearest neighbor, or creating linear classifiers. We will be discussing these methods in the rest of this series. They all have their uses, their advantages, and their disadvantages. Thank you for watching.